Hi, today I, a real living, breathing artist, am going to fix AI's artwork. And I'm not talking about the AI artwork that's so blatantly obvious it's almost nightmare-inducing. No, that would be way too easy. I'm talking about the AI artwork that's so good that any person off the street wouldn't be able to tell that this was not made by a human. And the reason that I feel compelled to do this started all the way back in October. And before we get into it, this is all alleged, okay? Nobody come sue me. This is alleged. Last fall, some people started noticing that Michael's Halloween wall art looked a little bit wonky. They were finding wolves with 3 legs. They were finding watermarks from an AI website, allegedly. And just really weird, wonky artwork that didn't really make sense, that was getting sold alongside real, actual artwork. Again, this is all alleged. And if these allegations are true, for me as an artist, it doesn't sit right with me for a few reasons. The first reason that it doesn't sit right with me is because it feels misleading and unfair. Some people, especially older people or people who are not familiar with technology, they might not know how to spot AI, especially if it's being sold alongside regular art prints. In fact, if they're in a big box store, they might not even know to be looking out for AI in that specific scenario. And it's unfair that some people, without even realizing it, are buying something of a lower quality that costs the exact same price as an art print that's being sold right next to it. The second reason that it doesn't really sit right with me when big box stores are doing this is how AI is made in general. AI is trained to make artwork by scanning millions of images, and some of the art pieces that it learns from are taken from artists who did not consent to having their artwork scanned and replicated, and of course not get credited or royalties in any way. So whenever a big box store like Michael's, who can easily afford to commission an artist, is allegedly selling by the thousands artwork that can be technically stolen and then allegedly selling it to people who might not be able to understand they're not getting a real product, it doesn't sit right with me. And this leads me to the third reason of why it doesn't sit right with me, is that Michael's is a craft store and they have absolutely no problem taking money from artists, but they can't even support the very people who are keeping their company alive. I'm sorry, it's giving corporate greed, babes. And again, this is all alleged. I cannot prove that this 3-legged wolf is AI. And that leads me to today's video. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Ray. I've been doing artwork here on YouTube for over 8 years. I have a degree in art. I've sold artwork professionally in galleries, and I've been making a living selling and showing my artwork online for over 8 years now. And in today's video, I am going to give you guys the tools. Oh, that is so weird. Michael's just sent me a notification on my phone. That is so weird. So in today's video, I am going to give you guys the tools to help you recognize common flaws that are in AI artwork so you and your loved ones can tell the difference if it's AI made or not. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so for this video, I am going to use ChatGPT. And the reason that I'm gonna use ChatGPT is because it's the biggest one that I know of. It's the most popular and by far the most used in the United States. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And I think what I'm gonna draw today is something that I personally would draw myself. All right, how about we generate an image of, let's see, generate an image of a witch, vintage pinup style, and make it into like an old-timey painting. All right, let's see what it generates. Any day now. And here is the image that it generated. It's not bad. That really does look just like a regular painting. But again, that is the whole point of this video, is that the devil is in the details. First up will be level 1. These are the most obvious signs of AI that anybody can spot. All right, so the very first thing that you can always look for, that's almost always the easiest thing to clock when it comes to seeing if something is AI or not, is in the hands. I don't know why, but for some reason, AI has a very difficult time getting hands correctly. And that's no different for this painting here. For example, if you look into this hand right here, you can already tell right off the bat that one finger is really, really wonky. It's like her finger is broken or something. It's just not correct. As you can see, the knuckles are really messed up. Some are really high, some are really low. Her pinky, for some reason, is like the widest finger on her hand. The second hand, it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better than the first one. But for some reason, it looks like her pointer finger generated into a thumb. And the biggest thing I would say about this is that her hand is abnormally skinny. Like, there's no curvature or nothing. It's just straight up.
straight down. There is no curvature, there is no thumb bones or thumbs in general, because usually we would see a little bit of thumb bone right here, but nothing, nada. But I do like the knuckles. I think it did a good job generating the knuckles. The next obvious thing that you can always look out for when it comes to AI is the texture of the painting. I don't know why this is, but for some reason, a lot of AI artwork has a really strange texture to it. It's either really soft and almost like this weird, whimsical, dreamlike filter over the artwork, or it's like this one, which has just a lot of weird, unnecessary texture all over the painting. I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell, but it looks like there's streaks all over the painting. And we see this kind of texture a lot with acrylic paint and oil paint, but when it comes to digital artwork, that is not the case. Digital artists can get this same effect, but they usually have to use a textured brush or manually insert the colors themselves. Anybody who does digital art, they know it's a very, very, very tedious process. But for some reason, AI just loves to insert this weird grainy texture on all of the artwork that it makes. The next most obvious way that you can tell if something is AI or not is through broken or distorted perspective. For some reason, AI at this current point in time has a really difficult time making things look straight. For example, if you generate a picture of a city and you zoom in, the windows are going to be messed up. The structure of the buildings are going to be messed up. If you generate the inside of a house, there's going to be a high chance that the furniture is messed up or the blinds are messed up. Anything that requires a uniform perspective, AI has a very difficult time with it. So if you look at the painting for more than a couple of seconds, you'll notice that the broom is kind of wonky. We're gonna pull a perfectly straight line of where the broom should be on this painting. And we're gonna try to stay as aligned as possible. So that is where the broom should be. And then this red line right here is where the broom is at. So as you can see, the perspective on this is totally messed up. It should be a little bit lower on her body to align with the rest of the stick. Now this leads us to level 2. In this level, beginner artists or people who are very observant would be able to tell if this is AI, but the everyday average person probably would not notice these things. So one of the very first things when it comes to this section that I noticed immediately and is gonna drive me insane making this video is the fact that AI usually spits out really low quality images. So when it comes to digital artwork, usually you don't want your drawing to be super low quality and have a really small canvas. And one of the many reasons that you don't want it to be super quality is because, let's say that I was gonna redraw her eyeball, it's super pixelated and I have no idea what I'm even drawing at this point. But a drawing that I made myself with my own pixel size, if I wanted to zoom in and fix the eyeball, it's so much better. As of right now, AI, for some reason, makes all of its artwork really low quality. The next moderately difficult way to tell if something is AI is in the details, or I guess lack thereof the details. AI has a lot of trouble making really small detailed things. And instead of making small little details, it'll make representations of details, if that makes sense. And to me, this is the funnest way to tell if something's AI, is like you'll zoom in and check out the minor details, and if they look like a weird amalgamation of nothing, then it's probably AI. And again, this picture is no different. So if we zoom in on her hair, you'll notice that we have these weird little, I don't even know what to call it, like shadows of hair, I guess you could say. And I know that's not her cape because it's like attached to her hair and it's also moving in the motion of hair. And so again, we get that weird thing where like it's an idea of hair, but it's not necessarily hair. So yeah, whenever I fix this here in a bit, I'm gonna have to completely redo the hair because I don't know what's going on with this. It's like the hair has its own personal aura or something. The next thing that I want you guys to always look out for, and you're gonna have to be a little observant for this one. Like I mentioned earlier, AI has a lot of trouble aligning things and getting things perfectly straight, and that of course includes teeth. So yeah, most people, whenever they do develop their teeth, they have a straight line right down the middle of where their teeth form. So here's the tip of her nose, here's her philtrum right here. And in theory, her teeth line should be right here. Like this is where we should see her teeth line. And her lips should be a little bit more to the right side of her face. But because AI has trouble aligning things, her tooth line is right here off to the left. So yeah, basically her whole smile is like a little off to the side. And we also see like the pupil placement in completely different areas. The next thing I want you to look out for that's a little bit subtle are extra bones in the AI artwork, or maybe lack thereof. In this image, this poor lady, her bones are just totally jacked up. First of all, she has 2 ankles on the same foot. She has an ankle here and an ankle here. She's completely missing her wrist bone on her left hand. She has an elbow in the middle of her arm instead of off to the back like most people do. She's missing an entire thumb knuckle bone in this hand. On her knee, it looks like she's having a little bit of trouble with her kneecap because one goes in and then down, while the other one just goes straight down like this, so I don't know if her knees are okay. And then lastly, this poor lady, her face has almost no shape to it. Most people, they have cheekbones and eye sockets, but this lady does not have that. It's just kind of a flat wah. What are we doing here? I'm gonna have to put in the work later. And this leaves us to level 3. This level includes the most difficult, subtle, non-obvious signs of AI artwork. This section is very difficult for the everyday average person to be able to point out the flaws. And this is also the scariest thing about AI, is that it's just so subtle that not everybody can recognize it. But I don't want to scare you guys, because even though these are going to be extremely subtle, very specific things, you still can apply them as tools to be able to help you recognize what's AI and what's not. Okay. All right, so for this section, the very first thing that I noticed is that the lighting source is incorrect. So whenever we look at this, we can safely assume that the main light source is coming from above, from, I would say, this direction right here. But if you look closer, there's like all kinds of weird lighting sources. In this picture, it looks like the broom has its own spotlight because it's dark on the edges and bright in the middle, like a spotlight is getting shown on it. And then if we look at her legs, even though the light is shining down on her legs, we have a whole leg that's like completely lit from the bottom up. It looks like the side of her dress also has a spotlight. And for some reason, even though there's a giant moon behind her, there's no backlight to it. So I'm gonna exit out that. The next thing is her fabric, and how it's getting pulled in the wind is completely inconsistent. So her hair is getting flown back so much that it's like getting pulled up into the sky. Then her cape and her dress are like lightly floating in air as if there's hardly any wind going on. Especially with the type of fabric she has, it's super transparent. I'm assuming it's some kind of a mesh, so that would easily blow in the wind and easily get pulled tightly like her hair. The next thing is the natural placement of the hand. For some reason, her hand is just over here. I think it's supposed to be gripping the dress. I'm not too sure. So whenever I go in and fix this, I am going to have to fix the hand placement to make it a little bit more natural. I'm also going to have to shrink the hand. And to finish this section off, I am going to have to fix the contrast, color correct the background, feminize her face, redo her fabric, and I am going to mess with the placement of the broom to make it a little bit more realistic. And I am going to be doing all of this fixing with an extremely low quality canvas. There is a lot of stuff that needs correcting. I have my work cut out for me. So let's get to fixing. So that ended up being much bigger of an endeavor than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to be completely honest here. I think I went way too overboard. The type of stuff that I ended up doing, it ended up being like literally hundreds of tiny little tweaks that I don't even know if you're going to be able to even see on the camera. For example, her face before, it looked like Mr. Bean. No offense to Mr. Bean.
but it kind of looked like him until I had to feminize it. I had to completely redo her hair from the bottom up. I had to color correct it to be more natural and fun and vivid and way less warm. And not just that, but I wanted to add a bunch of small personal touches that you wouldn't find with AI. For example, her shoes. I wanted to make them more pointy and witch-like. I wanted to add a couple of little curlicues in her hair. Her hat, I made it more pointy and elongated to show that it's old and it's been worn out. And I made the stars bigger and added way more of them to make it pop out more, make it a little bit more glamorous. And so, to conclude this video, I do think that as AI gets better and better and better, we're gonna have to be on the lookout more and more for it. And the biggest thing is that in order to combat this trend that we're seeing of human creativity not being valued, I hope that this video, more than anything, inspires you to go out and be creative today. Whether that be picking up a paintbrush, cooking a meal you've never made before, trying a new hairstyle, putting together a new outfit. It could be literally anything, and it doesn't matter if you're good or bad at it. Just go out and be creative. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much again for watching. Happy drawing, and I'll see you guys next video. Bye.